Good morning, students. Once again, I welcome you all on this online teaching platform of Divine Public School, Mohanapur, Gorakhpur. I welcome you all. Dear students, today I am going to teach you a very important poem, but a tough poem written by John Keats. And the name of the poem is A Thing of Beauty from your textbook Flamingo, subject English and board CBSC. Before I come to the explanation of the poem, A Thing of Beauty, I would like to give you a brief description about the work and life of the poet who has written this poem, A Thing of Beauty. And the poet is John Keats. John Keats was born in London in the year 1795 and died in Rome in 1821 at the age of 25 due to illness. He was a romantic poet, and his poetry is characterized by sensual imagery in his most popular work, which is a series of odes. Now, dear students, the meaning of odes here is a lyrical poem which is meant for a particular subject. Today, his poems are one of the most sought after creations in English literature. Although his poems were not generally well received by critics during his life, his reputation grew after his death, so that by the end of the 19th century, he had become one of the most beloved of all English poets. He had a significant influence on a diverse range of poets and writers. Now, coming to the specific objective of the poem, there are two specific objectives of this poem. The first one is a thing of beauty is a constant source of joy. Beauty is an eternal truth. The student will learn to understand the importance of nature. Now, dear students, can you list me those things which possess beauty? Yes, you are correct. The sun, the moon, trees old and young, stars, rivers, streams, mountains, clouds. There are many things in the nature which are a constant source of joy for us. So it becomes our duty to conserve and protect the nature. Dear students, whenever we are sad, whenever we are passing through the gloomy days, we often go in the lap of the nature. And whenever we are in the lap of the nature, we get joy. It gives us immense pleasure. We forget all about our dejections. So, in our life, nature is very important if we want to be happy in life. Second point is to acquaint the students about the poet John Keats in a brief manner. Just now I told you that I am going to teach you a very tough poem written by John Keats. Dear student, John Keats was a romantic poet. John Keats was a worshipper of beauty. For him, beauty was truth, and truth beauty. A thing of beauty is a constant source of pleasure for all of us. So I would like to suggest you to read more stories and poems of John Keats so that you can come to know about his notable works and his life. Now, coming to the introduction of the poem, a British romantic poet, John Keats, published his first epic poem, Endymion, in 1818. It is a narrative about the relationship between a goddess and her human lover. A Thing of Beauty is an excerpt from his poem, Endymion, a poetic romance. The poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a beautiful young shepherd and poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. That means, students, this shepherd whose name is Endymion, he renames the name of the moon goddess Cynthia. The real name of goddess, that means the moon goddess, is Selene, whom the poet renames Cynthia. The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. Now, coming to the explanation of the stanza. First of all, I would like to read the stanza for you all. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Now, dear students, you can see I have highlighted few of the difficult words in red color to enrich your vocabulary. So the first difficult word is pass into. Its meaning is turn into. Second difficult word is nothingness. The meaning of nothingness is a thing of no value. And the third difficult word is bower, which means a shady place under the tree. Now, dear students, in this stanza, the poet had defined beauty. See the first line of this stanza. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. The poet says, a thing of beauty makes a lasting impression on our mind. The pleasurable memories continues to have a soothing effect on us and become a source of joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness. Now, according to the poet, joy multiplies with every beautiful thought. Likewise, the loveliness of a beautiful thing increases many folds each time we visualize it in our mind screen. A thing of beauty never fades away from our memories. It remains fresh in our thoughts, but will keep a bower quiet for us. Now the poet further says, a thing of beauty is always fresh in our mind, and its pleasant memories are a cool shade in our times of trouble, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. It makes a sleep, that means the beauty makes a sleep full of sweet dreams and provides us good health and peaceful breathing. Its memories always gives us peace even in times of gloom. The reference implies the sense of peace and serenity that one experiences on seeing beautiful things. Beautiful sights act like nutrition for healthy mind and thus refreshes and relaxes us by driving away aggression and restlessness. Now, dear students, in this stanza, the poet has used literary devices. The first literary device is rhyme scheme, AABBC, in the word forever, never, keep, sleep, breathing. That means in the words forever, never, keep, sleep, breathing, the poet has used the literary device rhyme scheme. Second poetic device is alliteration. Use of consonant sound at the start of the two words which are close in series. As you can see in the last and the second last line, that is sleep, sweet. That means S, S. S in sleep and S in sweet. The consonant sound of two words. That means the alphabet S is repeated, which is alliteration. The third poetic device is metaphor. Bower quiet, which means calmness of the bower is compared to the calming effect of a beautiful thing. That means calmness of the bower is compared to the calming effect of a beautiful thing, which is bower quiet. The poetic device metaphor is used. Clear, students? Now moving to the next stanza. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, made for our searching, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Now, in this stanza, the poet has described about the beauty. Beauty, whenever we are sad, whenever we are desolated, whenever we are dejected, when we pass through the gloomy days, some shape of beauty moves away the cloth, the dark cloth which is on our dark spirit. Now, dear students, see the highlighted words in red color, which are difficult words. The first one is morrow. Morrow means the following day. For example, students, today is Saturday, tomorrow Sunday. So Sunday is the following day of Saturday. So morrow means the following day. Wreathing means surround. Despondence meaning is depressed. The meaning of dearth is lack or scarcity. Meaning of gloomy is sad. Meaning of pall is a cloth spread over a coffin. And the last difficult word, which is spirits, which means soul. Once again, I repeat the meaning. Morrow means the following day. Wreathing, surround. Third word meaning, despondence, which means depressed. Fourth, dearth, which means lack. Fifth one is gloomy, which means sad. Sixth one is pall, which means a cloth spread over a coffin. And the last one, which is the seventh one, is spirits, that means the soul. Now see the first line of the stanza, starting from the first. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. John Keats, as a worshipper of beauty, felt that life on earth would not be worth living without its treat of beauty. In this expression, he expresses a similar feeling that every morning we weave a string of flowers or memories which help us to support ourselves on this earth and motivate us to live our life, which otherwise would have been a pain. Flowers provide the beholder with a heaven of tranquility and solace. Spite of despondence of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures of the gloomy days. Now we are all always dejected and disappointed because of low spirit, loss of hope. There are sufferings and hopelessness of man which he experiences at various junctures of life. Man is selfish and self-centered by nature. There are only a few who enjoy such nobility of character as to rise above their petty differences and show generosity. On this earth, there is a shortage of such noble souls. The poet further says, the life is struggle for success. Our path towards success get obstructed by the selfishness of our fellow travelers. We suffer the pangs of defeat and loss of hope, which makes our life sad. Of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways made for our searching, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Now, dear students, to be able to enjoy the light at the dark end of the tunnel, one has to cross and transcend the darkness. The unhealthy and over darkened ways refers to the trials and tribulations one encounters in this journey of life. This expression refers to all the pessimistic and negative thoughts that obstruct our ways to happiness. In spite of the instance of hopelessness and gloom that overshadow and darken our ways, we are able to find our happiness in the beautiful objects of nature. Now, dear student, in this stanza, the poet has used literary devices. The first literary device is anaphora. Use of same word in two consecutive lines of noble natures of all the unhealthy, as you can see in the fourth line and the fifth line. Of the noble natures of all the unhealthy. That means use of same word in two consecutive lines is anaphora. Second literary device is alliteration. Use of consonant sound at the start of two words which are close in series. See in the second line, band, bind. Then see the fourth line, noble natures. N is repeated. In the second line, B is repeated. And see the second last line, some shape. In this, letter S is repeated twice. That means band, bind, noble natures, some shape. Use of consonant sound at the start of two words which are close in series. The poetic device is alliteration. Then comes metaphor. See the first and the second line. Wreathing a flowery band. Wreathing a flowery band. That means the beautiful things of our life bind us to the earth. By this line, the poet has used the poetic device metaphor. Then comes the imagery. Creating a sensory effect of beautiful things lined up in a string. See the second line, a flowery band to bind us, which means creating a sensory effect of beautiful things lined up in a string. By this, the poet has used imagery. Now coming to the stanza 3. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon, for simple sheep and such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills, that for themselves a cooling covert make, gainst the hot season the mist forest break. Now see the difficult word, students, which is highlighted in red color. The first one is sprouting. Here, sprouting means spring up, shady means shade, boon means blessing, daffodils, European plant which typically bears a yellow flower, as you can see in the image. Then comes the rills, which means a small stream, as you can see in the image. There is a small stream. Then comes the covert, which means the shelter of bushes. The next difficult word is gainst, which means against. Then second last difficult word is mid forest, which means the middle of the forest. And the last one is break, which means a process to slow down. Once again, I repeat the difficult words meaning for you all. Sprouting means spring up. Shady means shade. Boon means blessing. Daffodils, European plant which typically bears a yellow flower. Rills, a small stream. Covert, shelter of bushes. Gainst, against. Mid forest, middle of the forest. Break, a process to slow down. Now see the starting line of this stanza. Now here, dear students, the poet describes the beautiful things which are present on the earth. The poet tells us that nature's beauty exists in various forms. The sun, the moon, the old and young trees, the daffodils, etc. These beautiful things dispel the gloom and brighten up our dull days. See the second line, students. Trees old and young. The poet sees the tree, whether young and old, as a symbol of protection. Nature through the trees showered on us the blessings of shades, protecting us from heat, intensive light of the sun, and also from rain. For simple sheep and such are daffodils. Now, dear students, the sheep here are envisioned as the embodiment of innocent and serene beauty, specific reference to the sheep as a symbol of divine beauty. Nature's beauty as its best in the lush green surrounding of meadows and pastures, which provide life support to all plants and animals. No living creature can be happy away from nature, and it is in this green world that they find true joy and happiness of life. With the green world they live in and clear rails that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season the mist forest break. The rivers and streams, which are things of beauty and also the natural source of water, these beautiful sights provide cooling effects in the hot season. Now, dear students, the poetic devices used in this stanza are: the first one is alliteration. Use of consonant sound at the start of two words which are close in series, as you can see in the second line: sprouting, shady. S, S, that means the letter S is repeated in sprouting and shady. Then comes the simple sheep in the third line. Simple S and sheep S. Then in the second last line, that is cooling covert, the letter C is repeated in cooling covert, that means C, C. After this, the poet has used the literary device imagery. Trees giving shade, that means the sprouting shady boon. Growing process of daffodils, daffodils with the green world they live in. Then comes the clean river streams, which means the clear rills. That means sprouting shady boon, daffodils with the green world they live in, and clear rills. In this, the poet has used imagery. Is it clear, students? Now moving to the next stanza. Stanza number 4, explanation. First of all, I would like to read the stanza for you all. Rich with a sparkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of dooms. We have imagined for the mighty dead all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven spring. Now see the difficult words, students, highlighted in red. The first one is musk rose blooms, that means wild rose blossoms. Second difficult word is grandeur, which means high rank or socially important. Third difficult word is dooms, which means ruins. Then fourth one is tales, which means stories. Fifth one is fountain, which means a natural spring of water. Then sixth is immortal, which means never dying. Then comes pouring, which means falls rapidly. The next difficult word is heaven, which means paradise. And the last one is brink, which means edge. Once again, I repeat the meaning of the difficult words. First one is musk rose blooms, that means wild rose blossoms. Grandeur means high rank or socially important. Dooms means ruins. Tales means stories. Fountain means a natural spring of water. Immortal means never dying. Pouring means falls rapidly. Heaven means paradise. Brink means edge. Is it clear, students? Now come to the start of the stanza. Rich with the sparkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. Now the poet says that nature is beautiful in all its aspect. The poet enjoys nature's beautifying, the thick forest undergrowth which is brimming with the growth of the musk rose flowers, as you can see in the image. We have imagined a grand abode for our powerful and impressive forefathers. The poet says that the beauty of nature matches with the grandeur of the heaven where our grand dead would be going. The mighty dead refers to those great men and warriors who glorified death by embarrassing it gracefully. Sorry, who glorified death by embracing it gracefully. The poet refers to the mighty dead because beauty can be seen not only in birth but also in death. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, by this line, the poet wants to say, a glorified and magnificent death gets recorded in the leaves of history. It remains an everlasting source of motivation to all those who read or hear about the such great men who achieved glory in death. These are wonderful tales of our legendary heroes who lived and died heroically, which inspire us with their matchless beauty. These beautiful things are metaphorically an endless source of nectar that pours down to us from heaven, bringing eternal joy for the soul's grandeur. They are like an elixir of life, a never diminishing source of pleasure and delight, an endless fountains of joy that seems to be a precious gift from heaven. Now see the second last line, student. An endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven spring. The poet draws on the image of an endless fountain to explain how a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Nature is a heaven's gift to us. It lives fresh in our memories and pour on us endless joy that dispel our gloom. Further, the poet says, beauty is the greatest gift of God to man, which is showered upon us from heaven. This beauty is eternal, in whose glory man on earth bask and drive their personal source of joy and happiness. Things of beauty are like an endless fountain pouring on us like a nectar from the heaven, which signifies that God Himself has made these beautiful things so that we may be happy, calm, and peace in our lives. Is it clear, students? Now, the poetic devices used in this stanza. The first one is alliteration. Use of consonant sound at the start of two words which are close in series. As you can see, the letter H is repeated in have heard. You can see this in the fourth line. Have heard. H, H. The letter H is repeated twice. Second literary device is metaphor. Immortal drink. See the second last line. Immortal drink. Which means beautiful objects of nature are forever like a never-ending portion of a drink. By this, the poet has used metaphor. Last, the rhyme. Rhyme scheme is used in every stanza of the poem. Forever, never, keep, sleep, dead, read, etc. These are the words in which the poet has used the poetic device rhyme scheme. Is it clear, students? Now in this slide, I have shown you the list of things of beauty which are mentioned in this poem. The sun, the moon, shady trees, streams of water, beautiful daffodil flowers, tales of heroic men who sacrificed their lives. All these things are the things of beauty mentioned in the poem, which gives us joy, happiness, and immense pleasure. Now in this slide, desire to offend others, hopelessness, gloom, darkness, bad health, all these are the list of things that cause suffering and pain in human life. So we should try our best to be happy, to be joyful, because the listed things often gives us suffering and pain. Now theme of the poem. A thing of beauty openly recites the very theme of the poem. Any beautiful object is always treasured in our mind because it provides us eternal and everlasting joy. The happiness that anything beautiful provides never fades into nothingness, but multiplies manyfold whenever it returns to our mind. So, we should always try to recall the beautiful things the things or the events which makes us happy, we should try to recall those events, because whenever we think about those beautiful objects which are treasured in our mind, it will always provide you happiness and peace in your life. Now, in this slide, I have given you a few questions which you have to answer and write in your classwork copy, and you have to submit. The question number 1, what makes human beings love life in spite of troubles and sufferings? Question number 2, why is grandeur associated with the mighty dead? Question number 3, what is the source of endless fountain and what is its effect? Question number 4, how is a thing of beauty a joy forever? Question number 5, how is the pall of despondence moved away from our dark spirits? Question number 6, what is the symbolism in red flowery bands every morn? Question number 7, what is the message of the poem? So there are 7 questions. You have to write the answer of this question in your classwork copy. Thank you, students, for watching and listening.